want to show you how I created this column of thumbnails from 5 separate images. The reason this is even worth noting is that since we're doing this image sprite, and the image sprite, this one image over here is going to be adjusted by background positioning, it's essential that we have these things positioned within our graphic exactly right. Then that way we know when we're using our CSS positioning, we'll feel confident that these are going to be sitting exactly where we expect them to. So first order of business obviously is you need to find a couple different images that you're going to be working with or create them. After you're done that, basically I found these 5 different images online, and they're thumbnail images of the album artwork of these artists. They all came in different dimensions, so I resized them all to something easy to work with, and that's, as you see, they're all 100 by 100 pixels. So what I have now are images that are the same dimensions, and well, I'm ready to put them into Photoshop. So if these are 100 by 100 dimensions, that means that my main image sprite, the one that I showed here, needs to be 100 pixels wide by 500 pixels tall. So I'm going to fire up Photoshop, and I'm going to create a new graphic, a new file, just those dimensions. And right now, what I need to do to help me is I need to go to View, and under Show you'll have the grid. Now the grid has the lines. What's made this easy for me is that I went to Preferences after that, and I'm going to change the way my lines are. So since I'm working with 100 by 100 dimension images, I'm going to set my grid line to be every 100 pixels and the subdivisions to be 1. So now I'm going to have a column like this, and I'm going to go to File and Place, and I'm going to go and place each individual thumbnail here. Now before I do that, I got to keep this in mind. I want to make sure that I put these in the order that they're going to be displayed over here. That's going to make, when I do my CSS for them, it's going to make it a lot easier to know how to do it. So obviously I have to start with Brian Eno, Hank Williams, Coltrane, and go in that order. So let me go up here to File, Place, and I'm going to get this Eno pick. And now because I set these grids, and also I have to say that to have the snap and the snap to option selected, I don't do much in the way of customizing Photoshop, so a lot of this stuff, short of the grid, the show grid, and what I just changed, the grid preferences, it'll probably already be set up for you. But by me having the snap to, it just snaps right to the grid lines over here, so that makes it easy to make sure it's perfectly positioned. That's kind of the point in why I even did the grids and everything and snapping to the grid. These elements have to be, well, not only did I snap it to the grid, but I also made all of these consistent by making them all 100 by 100, the dimensions 100 by 100, so I had a consistency, because I want these things positioned exactly in certain areas, because when I do my CSS background positioning, I'm going to tell it to position in increments of 100 pixels. So that means that I'm assuming that this graphic is going to have an image at each 100 interval, and we'll see that in the next videos to come. So here I am, set it up. I have my column of thumbnails, and I'm going to go to File, Save for Web and Devices. Don't just go Save As, since we're doing this. If you save for Web and Devices, the reason this option is even there is it has further optimization for the web. So it kind of strips out, well, I don't want to say I know exactly what it strips out, but I do believe one of the things that it strips out is like extra unnecessary like metadata that kind of bloats the file. So here we go. I could leave this as a JPEG. I'm pretty happy with the file size over here, about 15 kilobytes. The quality looks relatively fine. And alright, let me save it. I'll go album And there we go. Now I actually have my image ready to roll.